When Nerva and his band return from the cave, they'll decide my fate. So this may be my final chance to reflect. I may as well take advantage of it. I realize that had I just ignored the signs and accepted this paradise at face value, I'd still be happy and free. Would that have been better? I don't think so. After a lot of thought, I've decided that I'd rather die seeking the truth than living in an illusion. That, as Rockwell would say, is the path of a true scientist. Not that I'm Galileo battling the church or anything, but hey, it's something to hold on to. What magic created the Scarabeei gigas, I cannot say. What I can say is that this creature is a perfect symbiont for advanced human tribes. Coprophagic, it eats mostly useless waste, feces. It metabolizes this waste into a more refined waste product, along with an oily byproduct. The oily byproduct is chemically the same as the oil found in the oceans around the island. Somehow, Scarabeei converts feces into oil. If that wasn't reason enough to worship the Scarabeei, the refined waste product is almost identical to fertilizer from a compost bin. Scarabeei makes me think humans have been on the island for a long time. Why else would a creature evolve to be such a perfect pet? Most tribes jealously protect their Scarabeei, whom are handily tamed with the skilled use of some well-handled feces. These wondrous little organic biofactories are truly a sustainable, green, eco-friendly source of resources for living off the land. Oil becomes gas, which is generator fuel. Fertilizer means crops, which is human fuel. The Scarabeei can power all aspects of island life. Presiding almost solely within the island swamps, Diplocaulus natatori nutrix is a small amphibian that primarily eats minor fish. It rounds out what I consider to be the middle bottom of the ecosystem, feeding on the tinier, non-insect creatures of the island, while itself being a common snack for the larger carnivores. Because so many creatures prey on it, Diplocaulus has become very skittish and often flees at the first sign of trouble. It uses its amphibious nature to escape into whichever environment its predator isn't native to. Diplocaulus' unique capability to retain vast quantities of oxygen allows it to effectively remain submerged for hours at a time, usually outlasting even other amphibious creatures that might otherwise prey upon it. There are only a few uses for tamed Diplocaulus. It is primarily kept for the rather disgusting practice of employing a Diplocaulus as an oxygen bag. Diplocaulus stores air in the bladders of its head, and divers can suck from these bladders to take deep breaths while submerged, supporting long-term underwater exploration without the use of external gear. Surprisingly, Diplocaulus is also extremely efficient when it comes to hunting trilobites.
Before arriving on this island, I would have dismissed the idea of a device instantly transporting a person from one location to another as complete and utter poppycock. Yet, that appears exactly what the strange platforms beneath the obelisks are capable of doing. Astounding. Yes, there was a dragon on the other side. I'm sure Mr. Nerva and his men fought quite the heroic battle, but discovering another slobbering beast is trivial in comparison. Imagine, one could go from one side of the globe to the other in the blink of an eye, and I'll wager that is just the start of the obelisk's capabilities. I must learn more. I must.
Like the Carnotaurus, Baryonyx aquafulguar is a large carnivore, but not large enough to rival the island's apex predators. While not as powerful as some deep-sea predators or Spinosaurus, Baryonyx is an extremely fast swimmer who is still sufficiently nimble enough to threaten most creatures on the island. And yet, despite being a fast, dangerous dinosaur, Baryonyx almost exclusively consumes fish and other water dwellers. The highly specific metabolism of Baryonyx seems to allow it to heal wounds almost preternaturally fast after feeding on nutritious fish meat. Perhaps this is why Baryonyx rarely attacks land animals. Baryonyx's natural affinity for aquatic predation means that once tamed, it learns to kill ocean dwellers even more efficiently. Between its speed and its power, Baryonyx makes an ideal choice for anyone interested in frequently moving between water and land travel, and who values speed and agility over raw strength. Castaroides is a large mammalian herbivore that tends to live near water. Unlike other larger beaver species, this one retains the chisel-shaped teeth of modern beavers. As is typical for beavers, they build dams as habitats, but the larger creatures on the island have a tendency to trample them. As a result, finding unsullied dams in the wild is quite rare. Castaroides itself doesn't seem to realize how dangerous the island is. I don't know if it's simply too dumb to notice the dangers, or if it just doesn't care. But Castaroides happily goes about its day, playing in the water and gnawing on wood. The value of a tamed Castaroides is obvious from its physiology. The creature naturally gathers wood extremely efficiently, far more than most species on the island. It's not the strongest creature, so it can only carry limited amounts, but it is a natural lumberjack.
Miss Walker's impromptu visits are always an unexpected pleasure. After that headache with the sharks and Blackfoots, a lively tea-time discussion about the abnormalities of the Ark's ecosystem was precisely what I needed. Thank goodness I've managed to find an intellectual colleague that shares my love for the sciences. It saddens me to think that Miss Walker's charming colonial accent would keep her out of the more prestigious institutions and societies back home. Another of the Ark's wonders, it is a true meritocracy, unlike any in the modern world. If Miss Walker and I could find and cultivate more minds like ourselves, we could create a true scientific utopia.
Among giant creatures I've seen on the island, Brontosaurus lazarus is larger than any sauropod I've read about. In fact, the dinosaur is so massive that it serenely ignores most other creatures. I've seen a pack of raptors tear apart small dinosaurs while Brontosaurus continues eating, seemingly oblivious to the hunting pack. Because of how docile it is, the Brontosaurus makes for an ideal pack animal. Peaceful tribes use it to carry incredible quantities of resources, while warring tribes use it to mobilize their army. Its size and strength make it one of the unique creatures on the island that can support a platform saddle. Unfortunately, its enormity means that the process of taming a Brontosaurus can take a very long time. Some may think this is an Apatosaurus, Dreadnoughtus, Argentinosaurus, or some other sauropod. But this is a strange island, and I'm the one doing the research. I'm convinced that this genus is Brontosaurus, and no one can tell me otherwise. My study, my rules.
I can't be certain when you'll find this slither of thought. Perhaps it will be the first one that touches your mind. Or the last. Cause and effect. I can follow through reason. But time itself, that takes concentration. Seconds. Centuries. Decades. Hours. Minutes. All these bleed together into a swirling torrent. It wasn't always this way. I know. I know that. Once time passed for me as it did for you. But now I cannot be sure how long I have been waiting. Only that it has felt eternal. The past, the present and the future matter insofar as their effect on everything else. But for me, concepts, variables, not illusory, but not tangible either.